everybody. This is Crystal, your scientist of communication, aka the Artistic Seven. So I'm here today with this video because one thing we know about 2020 is that we don't know whether or not we're coming or going. But the one thing that we can all agree upon is there were a lot of lessons to learn this year. So with us approaching the end of 2020, I thought that I would share the 10 things that I learned this year. Some of the stuff may be common sense, some of it may be reminders, but hey, maybe we have that in common. Maybe you're thinking about the same thing too. Maybe it's time to reevaluate ourselves and how we view ourselves in the world. So I'm going to go backwards down this list, starting with number 10. And the one thing that I learned, or one of the things that I learned, is that you cannot manifest anything without a clear mind. I don't care how much you want something. If you got a bunch of stuff jumbled up in your head, it ain't gonna happen. And take it from me, I'm somebody that manifests a lot of stuff. But this year, I've pretty much had a hard time doing so because my mind wasn't clear. I just had too much going on. Number 9. So look, it's unfortunate to even think like this, but it's true. Some people are stagnant. And when you run into people like that, you gotta kind of stay away. You don't want to swim in stagnant waters. If you deal with people who are stagnant, only thing that's going to happen is you're going to become stagnant with them. So if you don't want to do that, fall back and get out those murky waters. Number 8 on this list. And this is something that I used to do when I was younger, but now that I'm getting older, I'm really thinking about how I need to get back to it. And that's me living a bubble, right? You probably like, what is that? Living a bubble life is when you just stay in your bubble. Like, seriously. You're not taking anything too serious. You're doing your job. You're handling your business. You're handling yourself and your intermediate circle. But honestly, it used to be a point in time where I would go outside and be like all this drama and gossip. Did you hear such and such? I'd be like, no, because I just didn't care and didn't pay attention to it. Unfortunately, when you're a part of social media, you kind of get sucked into that life. And I just realized that I prefer to kind of keep to myself. So one thing I definitely started doing is kind of limiting the amount of time that I spend on social media. Because sometimes I just like being in my bubble. One thing I had to remember how to do, which is my number 7, is limit what you take in and put out. Not all advice is good, and not everything is worth sharing. If you are an empath or anyone who hangs around negative people for that matter, you have to be careful what you're taking in now because energy is never lost nor destroyed. It is merely transferred. And if you don't believe that you can put off a certain amount of energy or take in an amount of energy, even through words, you definitely need to update yourself. Number 6, people are just too unpredictable. Now, look, again, this is common sense. This is something that we should all know already, right? But sometimes we put our faith and our energy into the wrong people and we expecting them to always be there or look out for us or to do this or to that. And the truth of the matter is, people are going to be people. And the one thing about people that we know is that they are not 100% predictable. And no one shoe fits all, okay? Keep that in mind. Or not shoe, but one size. Y'all get my point, right? All right, number 5. Addictions can be subtle. Now, this is something I definitely underestimate because when you think about addictions, you think about it in other ways like drug addictions, alcohol addictions, and sex addictions, right? But there are other things that we use as vice that can become addictions, like Facebook, shopping. People even coffee can be an addiction because you use it as a vice and you depend on it way too much. If you find yourself being addicted to anything and you're doing it too much and it's like a release for you, first thing to do is realize that you have that problem. And the next thing you should do is probably work on yourself. That's definitely something that I noticed this year is that I have many addictions that I use as little vices to escape from things that I didn't want to face. And I mean, I know I'm not the only one. Think about it. Do you check Facebook as soon as you wake up in the morning? All right, number 4. And this is something that I used to do, but I kind of like fell off the bandwagon. I had another kid and then I kind of lost sight of things. And that is treating your vehicle well. And I don't mean your car. I mean this vehicle, the thing that's getting you around every single day that's waking you up in the morning. And that is your body. You need to spend more time taking in the right foods, mentally getting yourself together, physically keeping yourself right, doing everything that you need to keep your vehicle in check. Just like a real car, right? If you don't take care of a real car, it's going to break down on you. And the same thing goes for our bodies. You take your car in for an oil change, right? You take your car in for brakes. If you're not taking care of your body, which is your vehicle, one day it's going to break down on you. Number 3, out with the old, in with the new. Sometimes we attach to things too much because we have history with it, because it feels good for the moment, because it looks good. And I'm here to tell you, you got to change at some point. You have to adapt. You have to adapt to the fact that you are evolving and changing as a person. And if you can't keep that person in your life because you grew out of them, it's okay to walk away and let them go. If you got clothes in your closet that you know you waiting for that one special day to wear, but it's been sitting there for like 2 years, get rid of it. You got to declutter your life in order to clear out your mind. Number two, now, look, I know I'm not the only person that does this, but sometimes I do it way too much to the point where I forget about myself. And that is making other people's dreams come true. Sometimes you're spending so much time helping other people, or you're spending so much time at work that you're forgetting about yourself and what you want to do. Everybody has dreams. You have things that you want to do. But if you focus on everybody else's stuff and making their dreams come true, when are you going to have an opportunity to do your own? And I'm not going to lie, this one here close to home because I have a habit of self-sacrificing and literally putting myself on the back burner. But I said, you know what? Mm-mm. It's a limit to it. And you can't do it too much. You got to take care of yourself first and what you want to do. Time is ticking, and I can promise you one thing. It ain't waiting for nobody, not even you. And the number one thing that I learned this year, and I know I'm not the only one, is that I have been living in what I call a fear-based mentality for a few years now. Now, once upon a time, I used to be one of those people that whenever I felt scared of something, I would attack it head on because I don't like to be scared of anything but God. I'm sorry. Not a man, not a woman, anything. I just didn't feel like that. And as time went on and situations and things started happening, I started noticing that I became more fearful about things. Even worse, things that were out of my control. And I just learned, I say, hey, you know what? There ain't nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to stress myself out about it. And most importantly, I can't stay in my way and stay in my own head. Because that goes back to number 10. If you are living in a fear-based mentality, your brain is overreacting and doing all type of stuff. And you ain't making any progress. And you're not manifesting anything, okay? And other things on this list can kind of contribute to it, like those addictions and stuff like that. This is one of the biggest causes. And I'm not even going to lie to you. Now that I realize it, that's just something that I just want to make sure that I get out of. I never was in it in the first place. And I ain't trying to be in it now. So I'm going to spend the rest of my 2020 trying to get out of this mode of thinking. And when I say fear-based, it doesn't mean like, the typical stuff. I'm not worried about the typical stuff that most people are. But there are some other things, you know what I mean, that's a little bit personal that I just like, man, what if? And I just think what if entirely way too much. So I know that I'm not the only person that feels like this, especially with all the stuff that's taking place around you. You got the media scaring you. You got people scaring you or all this talk. Sometimes there's certain people that I don't want to talk to because they will literally take the fear in themselves and guess what? Transfer it onto me. And I don't want to hear it. You feel that way, that's you. You take that moment and you feel better about yourself, you know? So I decided to share these 10 things with you because I know I'm not the only person that feels this way. And I'm spending the time of the rest of my 2020 and going into 2021 with a better mindset. And I hope that you all do the same. Most importantly, I hope you continue to be more innovative. If you like this video, if you are experiencing any of the things that I mentioned, if you want to improve your life, if you just want to follow me because, I'm random and I make all type of things because art is my life and communication is my life. And if you like any one of those topics, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button, and I'll see you next time. Peace.